Hey everybody, and welcome to another Learn to Digitize video. I am Sue from OML Embroidery, and today we are working in studio and we are going to do this cute little mermaid double applique. And I thought it would be really cute to do an applique on the bottom here of her mermaid fins and also of her hair. And we are going to add the highlights. We are going to do some fancy stitching and some nice hole cutting and shading. So there's quite a few elements in this design. I know it looks kind of simple, but once you add the different applique, I think it would look great. On mine, I did it was a camo actually, but I thought it looked cool. I had a scrap of it and I thought, why not? But you could use scale design, you could use any kind of little scrap of material. So I brought in the picture. Now I'm going to do this one a little bit larger because I want to be able to show you the details. But let's check anyways. Let's go to image, let's go to edit image window, and we're going to go to the middle one. And this is 8 by 8, which may be a little bit large for an applique. But for these purposes, and I want to be able to show you the detail, of course, you realize if you are doing, if you're doing smaller, then you won't be able to add all this detail in. So let's start off with the fin. I don't know what that's called. Is there a special word for it? Someone will have to tell me. The mermaid. It's not legs. I know that. Oh well, we'll just call it the bottom of the mermaid. How's that? And I'm just going to place a closed path running stitch right now, and I'm just going to do it quickly. As usual, you guys take your time and make it perfect because we do love perfect embroidery. I'm just doing it. I don't think you guys need to sit and watch me place a whole bunch of points. We all know how to do that. I'll try to get it. And I have to try to go slower too because apparently I still go too fast, so I'm trying here. I'm trying. So what happens here, if you can't click like that, you just have to activate your last point. And I think we'll probably go here. Remember always, of course, to use the least amount of points possible. It makes for better curves and much better embroidery. And curve that one down. And there we go. Cover it over. And for this one, I think we can do the automatic applique, which is going to do our 3 levels for us automatically because it's a nice closed path, and why not? It's in, let's make this one green, but if you see, I think that just did the top part. Let's make it green just so we can see it better. But I think it has multiple clients. Let's check this out because people have asked me, and I really honestly, I never use this part. So yes, it does. It has the 3 parts. That's the outside placement stitch. That's the tack down. And it goes over it twice. I usually do them a bit closer together, but that's okay. And then it's really tacking it down, but that's okay. This is, people wanted me to do a video with the automatic part. I don't like the underlay, but Embird does, so that's fine. Your material will be down, and now it's going to do the satin stitches. So okay, that's fine. That's how Embird does it. That's fine for this one. That's great. So that goes down first. We want to do her hair next. So we're going to get our appliques out of the way. Now this one we have to do separately. We have to do the 3 parts to it, and I'm going to show you why. So let's start here. That looks like a nice place to start. And pull your bends and curves. And I'm just again starting with the tack down stitch, or the placement stitch rather, which is just a running stitch, and it shows you where to put your material down. And we're just going to carry on with that. We have a few places we need to make a couple changes to in the end, our last satin stitch. That's why we can't do the automatic one, because we have a few things going on here. So let's get the applique parts out of the way. Again, I'm not going to spend too much time. I need to skip along a little bit better. I think her hair is going to look really pretty. You can find some nice material to do it in. I just used red, and I thought it was kind of a shiny red. Looked really cute. So for this one, this is the applique, and it is the underneath part. We are going to do this flower, but for now, this is our applique. And we want to, for this one that's a little bit tight, so I want to make it a little bit bigger over here, just a little bit. I like the look of it better. That's just me. You guys can decide what you want to do. Now, I should have known that didn't work. I don't know why I thought it would. There we go. Another point here. Now remember, this is the applique and stuff is going to stitch over it. That's fine. So a little bit here, I guess. We could make that a little bit better. So let's generate that. And of course we want it in a different color. So let's make this one blue. And we're just changing the colors for the color stops. So that's our material placement stitch. So what we want to do is right click copy, right click paste, and this is our tack down stitch. So we want to right click into parameters, and we want to make this a satin stitch, and we want to move the density up, not quite as much as Embird automatically did. I'm happy with 20 or 25. Take off the underlay. Don't forget to take off the underlay and apply. And that's our material tack down stitch. Doesn't matter the color as long as it's different. So we need to change that to maybe a pink because we want our machine to stop. So now we have our two appliques done, which is fine. That one's done complete. That's fine. We don't need to mess with it. This one we're going to change a few things. So for now, let's go to I guess we should do her body. So let's go, we want it in a fill stitch, and we want it, we're going to have to carefully, see, this is why I don't really like using the Embird. I like to do the final stitches at the end. However, we can see exactly where we want this to go, so you'll have to be a little more precise than I am. In any event, people wanted me to show you the automatic Embird, but that's what I don't like about it because I don't want the top satin stitch here. So let's pretend I did it the other way. I guess, you know what, I could even go ahead and change it, but let's make her first. So I'm going to do it in a couple of parts here. I guess this is a nice shape. I kind of changed a few things when I was doing it before, but let's stick with it for this one. You don't, again, not being all that precise, you guys can do a little bit more. The picture's good enough for that. Generate. We'll just leave it on pink, I guess, or I guess we can do it a bit yellowy, maybe. So let's go in on this one and let's go parameters, and we're going to take it off. We're going to do it sample stitch, apply, generate, and then we're going to do parameters again, and we're going to make it in a satin stitch. Did I duplicate it? No, I didn't. Whoops. Right click, copy, right click, paste. Now we have it, and we need this moved up, so right click, drag it, and insert after. Now it's this one that we want. Whew, that was a close one. Wow. Parameters, let's move these down here. And we want to make this one a satin stitch with a density of 20 or so. I prefer 20. It seems to work very well for me. I like it. Okay, that feels better. Now we have to change the color of this to whatever because we want the color change. Now let's go into node mode and fix what I did because I didn't like it. Because we can have this right up on the line there. Because our material, we're doing the legs, the mermaid legs, which are not really legs, but there you go. We're doing them first, so this can go butt up against it, and then when we do our satin stitch, it's going to cover the seam just delightfully. So there we go, her body. And now I'm just going to whip through these parts. I think we can do it all in one. I don't think I'm not worried about it. I do want this cut out because we're going to do, so I guess not. I guess we'll just do this part, and we can go up against the line because remember, again, our final satin stitches are going to cover up everything nicely. Well, I don't think we want her arm purple, so let's change that. Let's do her other arm, and then we're going to work on her face. Let's see, fill stitch, and we're going to stop it right here, And we'll just do this quickly. Again, you take your time. Some nice fill stitches. Perfect. Perfect. I like it so far. I think this is going to be a super cute design to do. And of course you don't have to, it's good to practice with this design, but take the skills that you learn and apply it to your own designs or your own ideas. And of course feel free to post them in our group because everyone loves to see what you can do with the classes, especially if it's thinking outside the box and different. Gotta love it. Okay, there we go. So let's move up a little bit. Now we're going to work on her face. So let's go on that. Let's start, how about right here on her bikini, because we're going to do something kind of groovy with that. I always like, if it's possible, to incorporate groovy stitches. Now we can go in tight on this because the satin stitches are going to make a beautiful finish to it once we're done. Let's go up a little bit more because I missed it. And remember to go on your stitch line, not necessarily the picture line. If you can see, if we zoom in here a little bit, I was a little bit off. And if you were to match it up here, we have a satin stitch, so it wouldn't matter. But generally, if you were doing that, you'd be a little off and it won't look the greatest once you're done. Now here, we want to go around this flower, because we want to, and tighten that up. I was off a little bit. Go around the flower and around, so here and here, and then bend it out and bend it out and back here and bend, and we are looking good. This is starting to come together. And let's zoom in so I can see what I'm doing and get a little space. That one, and we'll slide over and we are going to generate. So while we're zoomed in here, and we're going to have to change, of course, the order of everything because we want and make our connections. I haven't done that. I don't feel that I need to do that for every class. You guys know what to do. You need to make a connection between this one and I think we did this one. So it needs to end here and do a little stitch over, and you want to do it under. If you do it just like this, it might show. So you want it to do it under, and then it's going to finish stitching here, and this would be the next logical spot. And here, little jump stitch or little stitch, running stitch to here, and that is how you optimize everything with no jump stitches. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a video on it. You might want to go and review it. It just takes up so much time. I would rather show you guys some super cool techniques. Remember here to go to where your line was. I was off a little bit. You can either go back in and fix it, or you can match it up. Make sure you leave a little gap. We'll add a little bit of pull compensation if necessary. But make sure you go to your stitch lines, not your picture lines, so everything matches up. Now for this one, coming along, need to pull it down. Again, make sure you optimize everything and make sure it looks good. So I think I want to point there. Sorry, I stopped talking. I don't know why. There we go. And there. And let's generate that and have a look at it. Well, of course we wanted a different color, so let's make it the same kind of purple. And let's zoom out a bit because we're kind of too close. What I want to do is right click, and I want to go to parameters, and I want to change it to a scaly design. So let's do apply. And you can kind of see the scales are going that way. I kind of want the scales in a different direction. So this is how you do that. And apply. See, does not look better. Let's generate stitches. Let's go into the 3D. So you want me to do that again? Let's do that again because you couldn't really see it clearly. So parameters, let's move it beside so you have a great view. And if you move this around, you can change the angle of the carved stitches, either up or down. And this is big enough, we can do that on. I kind of like it the other way, but play around with the stitches. Of course, that's what we do a whole lot. So there we go. Mermaid is looking good. Let's work a little bit on her face. Why don't we go to the hole cutting, which is right here. So I highlighted it, go to hole cutting. I'm going to place a point down, and I'm going to go to shape, and this is pretty small, so we're only going to use the ellipse 4 points. And I want them a little bit like that. 2 elements, and generate. And once you generate, you can move it around a little bit. You can change it. I think that's probably pretty good. Let's see if we can duplicate it. We can. Woohoo! Let's try that. There we go. And that is how you make 2. It's off a little bit, but that's how you make 2 really quickly. Duplicate it while you have it highlighted. Once you click off, it's all over and it's permanent. So you'd have to undo and do it again. Awesome. Okay, so now what we need to do is convert, and we want to create fill from opening. That gives us our 2 eyes. So then we're going to drag it down there and make it black, and I want these generated. So generate stitches. Let's go into our 3D and see how they look. Oh, well, you know, it's cute enough. That's fine for the eyes. So let's go on to the mouth. We're doing all this detail work. Let's generate her face because I like to see it. And for the mouth, I don't want to cut holes because it's pretty thin and you don't really need to. And I want it to kind of sit up. If you had more time, you know, I might make these features a little bit prettier. They're not the nicest, but that's okay. We're just working with what we got. So let's take our line tool and let's do 3 points and let's curve them. It's good enough. I think it's awful cute. Sometimes simple is good. Make it a satin stitch and make it just a hair wider, just so maybe it looks better. Yeah, that's fine. We definitely don't want her to have a black mouth, so we want it in red. Excellent. So now we have all of the elements in place. Let's work on her flower. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and it gets kind of jaggedy, but that's okay. Let's do our fill stitch, and we're going to go around it, and we want some nice smooth curves, so I'm not going to do too many points on it. Remember to match it up. Let's go to here and make some nice lovely curves. This one's odd shaped, which is cool. And here and all the way down to here. It doesn't look like it'll make it, but it does it perfectly. There we go. And remember, we made this a little wider, and that's exactly why I did. We're going to have to change the order of a few things, but I just want to do the flower while we can. And I'm going to pull that right down here. And I did that wrong. So let's fix it. There we go. Generate. And we want this one, you know, a lovely orange. And we're going to turn the eyeball off so we can see what we're doing. Now we're going to digitize these parts, and we're going to do something different to them. Now we're getting kind of small. If you're doing your design really small, you might not be able to add in this detail, but this is the reason why I made it a little bit bigger. So we have our teardrop shape, and I'm not going to put underlay on it because I want to shade it a little bit. So let's generate it and see how it looks. Let's turn our flower back on. It's pretty hard to see because it's the same color, so let's make it a bright yellow just like in the picture. And that would blend in, but it's a bit too much. So let's go to parameters, and we took off that. So let's bring the density to maybe about 6. And I think that'll do, and that'll blend it in nicely. Generate stitches. So remember that's 6. Let's turn this guy off so we can see what we're doing. Let's do another one. Click, click. And remember, we're getting quite small. And also remember, it is a little bit hard to see because Embird doesn't show it very well, but it will blend in absolutely lovely when it's just a hint of color. It's not supposed to be, you know, anything major. And I think it'll look really good once you stitch it out. Generate. That was my kitty cat moving because my studio is now the cat's room. So if you hear loud snoring, it's really the cat, not me. There we go. And the last one, which is a little bit bigger. There we go. Now I didn't change anything, but we're going to do that in a minute. We said 6 for the density. Bring it in there. That one's a little bit too heart-shaped, so all you have to do is bring this out and make it a little bit round. I know it doesn't go with the picture, but I think it looks better a bit more round shape. Generate. Now we've got all these guys, so click and shift click for the rest. Right click, parameters, and we want to take off this, and we want to change the density to, I think we said 6, about 4 times. There we go. Apply, and they all change. Generate stitches. And again, it doesn't look like much, but it'll be a nice little blend when we stitch it out. So that's all of our details. Again, you can do her face with a little more detail. I like the bathing suit top detail. Remember to make all your connections and optimize everything. So now we need to do our cover stitches. Now the bottom part is going to be easy. We're going to copy and paste, copy and paste, and that's going to go at the bottom because we want these satin stitches to go at the end. And we want to right click and we want to do parameters, and we want to change it to satin stitch, but we want to change the density back to normal, which is 4, and apply and generate stitches. And we want this, the lovely green. Okay, that's a bit neon, but that's okay. I forgot one detail. Oh well, that one's okay. Let's do this detail work on her fin. I totally forgot. I almost did it without. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so we want to do it in a satin column. Okay, so we're going to do a column stitch. So we're going to click on column stitch. Make sure up here that you have the right one selected. I'm happiest working in B, so that's what I'm going to do. Place your point. Left click and drag to split your point. I just find it makes it easier, and it's easier to figure out what to do. Remember, don't put, as tempting as it is, don't put too many points, and adjust a little bit. Again, you guys can, of course, remember that's your arrow, so I want to do the point on this side, then that side. That's how you tell. It's a really good trick. Keep practicing it. Which one do I do? So I want to do the bottom, then the top, and that's how you get it perfect. Whoops. That's how you get it perfectly done every time. And then this is the arrow, so we want to do the bottom and the top again, and we want to bend everything. Perfect. So we want to do the bottom and the top, and you can pull this one out a little bit and kind of angle this one and do it like that, and bring this one in, not too tight. And there is our satin column, which looks amazing. And we're going to leave it that green. I would go ahead and fix this. I guess we can do it. Let's go into node mode because I made it too square for no apparent reason, and kind of adjust it a little bit at least so we have more of a point going on. I think it has to be brought down like that. Generate, have a look. That's much better, looking good. Okay, that's one highlight. And before we do our finishing pieces, let's do her hair highlight. So the same thing, click on the column tool. I'm happiest on B, put a point down, split the point, and opposite, and off you go, and fix. And you can fix as, you can fix as you go along, or you can place them and then go back and fix them. So I did one way. Let's do the other way. People like it this way because you don't lose your place if you forget to look for that little arrow, and it goes a little bit faster. to each their own. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It is whatever you prefer. I do a little bit of both, but I probably place most of mine first and then work on it, adjusting them. That looks good. Look at how fast that went. Woohoo. Awesome. We do not want that one in green. We want that one to be in a matching color to whatever fabric. Burgundy. Oh, well, that looks really cute, doesn't it? That's awesome. So the only piece we have left to do is the final satin stitches for her hair. So let's go ahead and do that. And we have to do it a little bit differently. And I'm going to show you why I didn't use the Embird one. And the reason why is because if we do this now, we're going to have satin stitches over the flower. If we did it before, we're going to have satin stitches under the flower. So we need to make a tidy little connection on that one. So there we go. Let's start. And this is going to finish everything, and it's going to, cover over the differences between the stitching and the material and give it a nice handy tidy finish. So there we go. We do have to reorder a few things, but we'll go back and check that after. Now I did this really quickly. You guys can feel free to go back and go over things a little bit more. That's fine. So there we go, and we're going to go on our stitch line, because remember, this is where our applique fabric is. And everything is held down, and we've stitched on top of her hair. So this isn't really for holding anything. It's to make it look pretty, to finish our edges, because there's nothing there. And I am going to make this one a bit thinner, and I am going to stop this one right here, because we don't need to do anything any further. And I am going to have the flower stitch out after we do these final stitches, because I want this stitch tucked in underneath the flower. It's not going to be a bump or anything. It's just a nice way of hiding it. Now we do want it satin stitches. I'm going to bring the width down just a tiny bit, and let's see how that looks. Yes, I like that, and that should actually... it should be okay. You can, I was a little bit off here. Let's try it with the regular width. I'm not necessarily happy about changing the width because I want full coverage on the applique. That's fine. So leave it, don't change it. It's kind of risky to do it that way. And we may want to angle that stitch a little bit better. But let's zoom in here so we can see. If we do want to angle that stitch in a little bit better, or add another point even. So we want this kind of in here. We want it closer. You have to make it a little bit closer to our stitch line. Now it's a little bit hard to see. You may want to change the colors, but really get in here and make it precise. You may want to change the colors of the applique one. Yeah, and we kind of want it under here, but match everything. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let's generate. It's not quite under as I'd like, but that's okay. Let's do our next little bit, and it's the zigzag. Yeah, see, I would make it different colors, but that's okay. We're going to start a little bit behind the flower, and we're just going to go here, and we're going to make it into a satin stitch, and we're going to generate. There we go, looking good. Tuck it in a little bit more, but in between here I want to make a connector stitch. So we're going to end here, and the flower is going to be stitching over it, so it shouldn't show, and it's just a single run line. Generate, and we're going to move that line after that, the curly part of her ear, then that is the connector line, and then that is that line. Let's go up a little bit, and we're going to go up, and we're going to do, where's this one? Oh, we didn't. We should have started it up there. That's okay. No harm done. We'll make it all match. What was I doing? Oh yes, I was down here. We are going to finish off. I was so worried about making the connections. I didn't do it right. But it's okay. Everything can be fixed, right? We're not all that worried about it. I'm going to continue on with that line after, but I forgot. Why don't we X that? It must be Monday, I tell you. It isn't though. And look at our red dot, and we're going to go here to about here, and we're going to leave that as a run. And now we're going to go in and finish our girl. There to there. We need to zoom out a bit. When you guys are doing it, you have to do it around a little bit more. I didn't do it enough, but you know what? It's fine. We can fix anything. We got to put everything in the right order too before we're done. And don't forget to always make your connections. So in retrospect, I would have started it here and gone around. And that is just poor planning on my part. I think I've done this about 6 times to perfect it, but apparently I forgot that one part. I have a lot to remember when making these darn videos. So there, you start it here and tuck it in a little bit under, because we're going to tuck everything under the flower. Generate, and that's fine. We fix up that corner so it looks a little better. But for now, you know what? That is okay. So let's take our flower and let's move the flower. So right click, drag, release, insert after. And now it stitches over top of those lines. But you can see what I've done here. If we had done the automatic, there would be a thick line through the flower and you'd be able to see it. There's not enough stitching to cover over, and we don't want that. And let's look at it in 3D. She looks kind of naked without her hair, and our flower will blend lovely. Nice stitching there. She looks great. Let's go to our stitch simulator and see if we put everything in the right order. That is the positioning running stitch. And that is because we changed it, because this is more right. I forgot to take the underlay off of that. This is why you do the stitch simulator, because we do not need all of that underlay. It's going to possibly mess up your material, so we need to take that off. There's our tack down stitch with 2 layers of underlay. No, no, no. This is how you see your mistakes before you take it to your machine. And I just simply forgot to take the underlay off. So now we're on her hair with the placement, and I'm out of it a little bit. And that's our placement line. And I did take the underlay off, so this is now our tack down stitch, and that is our 2 pieces of applique, which are going to look absolutely fantastic. I can't wait to see the homework from you guys. Let's see, finish up there. And we can speed it up a little bit for this part, because we don't really need to watch all this stitch out. We know how this part goes. I was more concerned about the applique, and I did find a mistake. So yay, I'm happy I took the 2 minutes it's going to take to do this part, because that would save me, you know, hopefully from messing up the whole thing. So this is her skin stitching out, and we did it nicely with some holes, and we cut out around the flower so we don't have much of an overlap. And there's, I guess I'll slow it down again, that's a bit quick. There's the fancy stitches on her bikini, her eyes, her simple mouth, and see there are stitches on that one. So that's 2 mistakes that I caught. Yay. And I'm going to go in and fix them. So everything to do with her tail, we need to take off the underlay. Write it down, I guess, so you can remember to do everything. That looks good. And there's our pretty highlight. Doesn't matter which order those ones go in. Nice use of satin column stitches. Awesome. There's the highlight on her hair. Looking good. It's a bit wide, but I think you'll be making it smaller when you do it. And there's the 3rd mistake. There is underlay on her hair. Satin stitch, so we don't want that either. Okay, so let's stop this. We see our mistakes. So on her fin, on the 2nd part, we go into parameters, and yeah, let's take off that underlay. Apply, generate stitches. Did this one? I don't remember. I said there was 2 parameters. Nope, that wasn't it. It was down here on the satin, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Parameters. Yep, look at all that. Nope. Nope. But see how beneficial using the stitch simulator is? Just a couple of boo-boos in there. This one had it as well. Yep, there it is. Take it off, apply. It's just a great way to just double check everything. And look at that. I think that's great. Save your design. You can bring it into editor and you can do the applique parts, pre-cut them, or you can cut them out on the hoop, whatever you prefer. Now that we don't have any underlay, it's perfect. And there you have it. That is how you make a really cute applique mermaid here in Embird Studio. Thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you guys in the next class.